Today we're talking about honesty, and the opposite of honesty, which is hypocrisy. First of all, are you honest? Are you honest with others? Are you honest with yourself? This is what we have to ask ourselves when we want to develop honesty, when we want to practice being honest. We have to question ourselves about how we are honest, because the quality of honesty that one needs to develop in order to practice the Buddha's teaching, to practice the Eightfold Path, goes deeper than the superficial way that we might understand it. The work of honesty is the work of straightening oneself out, deeply inside, finding all the crooked places in ourselves, the places where we're inconsistent in our actions and our words, the places where what we say and what we do are not in line, the places where what we think about ourselves and what we actually are do not match. Finding all this crookedness in ourselves and straightening it out, correcting it. And it's a difficult thing to do. You have to put the value of straightness and honesty above the value of your own self-image. You have to be prepared to break your good image of yourself that you have or that you have shown to others in order to practice this straightness and this honesty, which is something that very few people are prepared to do, because all our lives what we do is to protect this self-image, to strengthen it, to build it up, and to defend it. So now I've been talking about two levels of honesty. There is the basic honesty of don't tell lies. That is, if you practice the 5 precepts, you can take this as a just general rule. As a Buddhist, I don't tell deliberate lies. Even that can be more difficult than it sounds, and we've opened it up a bit more in one of our other videos, but now what I want to talk about more is the deeper level of not only taking the rule of I don't tell deliberate lies, but asking and looking at what makes us tell lies, what makes us be dishonest, and working to root out this element in ourselves, this element of dishonesty, of hypocrisy. What causes this? This hypocrisy, we can see it clearly if we look in the outside world. We can see it everywhere around us. Big examples of how people are inconsistent in their actions, how they will say one thing and do another, how people will cause such harm to others under the mask of a good cause. Just to take one example, if you look throughout history at all the people who have been slaughtered, all the lands that have been stolen, all that has been done in the name of religion, in the name of spreading the good news. So this is quite funny, like how you take the mask of a good cause, the mask of religion, to cover up the pure desire of power, greed of money, greed of resources. I'm not talking about any religion in particular, and actually the religion itself is not to blame. That's not the point. It's how we use this thing, in the name of God or in the name of my religion, to give a good name to our wrong actions. Because we want to act out of greed, we want to steal the other people's money, we want their land, we want their resources, and we also want to look good. We want to give a good image of ourselves. And we want to give a good image to the actions that we are doing, even if it's plain as day that they are harmful, they are destructive and cruel. Some other examples of the same kind of hypocrisy at a slightly lower level is how we can create a kind of morality of outside objects, that consuming this food or this particular meat or whatever, this thing is bad. I don't consume that. Okay, so I'm good. That makes me feel good, so I can go and do whatever other wrong and I still feel good inside because I don't eat that or I don't consume this. So that way we don't look at greed. We don't look at the intention of greed inside ourselves. We put the wrong on something outside. We put the blame on an object outside, so it can't be us that is to blame. Or on the contrary, another style is to, let's say, give a small amount of money to charity every year, even though you are extremely rich and you could do a lot more, but you don't want to put more effort or put more time or give more money away, but you just give a little bit to remove the guilt of not having done more. Okay, I feel good because I've given this much. I look good to others and I can comfort myself that I am not selfish, that I'm not greedy, that I'm not ungenerous. Or again, to take it at an even deeper or more subtle level, if we do good actions, let's say working for an old people's home or let's say feeding homeless people or whatever we might do to help others, although we do the actions to help, at the same time, we always are looking for a little kind of reward. Usually it's the feeling of being appreciated, the happiness of somebody saying, "Oh, thank you, this helped me so much," or "This was very good," or "You have been such a great help to me." If they don't give us any sense of appreciation, if they don't say any thank you, or if they don't make us feel that our action is appreciated, we don't get that kind of reward and we're less inclined to continue on doing it. So although we are doing it supposedly for them, we're really doing it for us. If we don't get anything out of it, we won't do it. Other examples of impure generosity, it can also be done as a tradition, as it is in many Buddhist countries, giving to temples and monks especially, and generally also out of the wish of having a future reward. The expectation of rebirth in a good destination in a heavenly world by giving generosity. While we are helping, our intention has this hypocrisy within it. We think we are doing good. We think we're doing it to help, but we do it for ourselves. We do it with this intention that although, yes, we're giving, in fact, it's more like an investment for ourselves. Really pure generosity is extremely rare, and it's done with the intention of renunciation, the intention of removing from oneself, removing from one's selfishness through giving to somebody else. And if we want to practice pure generosity, we need to first be able to be honest about our intentions, to check inside the intention with which we are giving, straighten it out, remove the selfishness from it. So just be careful to understand correctly. I'm not saying that we shouldn't do these things. I'm not saying we shouldn't give. I'm not saying we shouldn't help. I'm not saying that these things are wrong, not at all. But now we're talking about honesty. If we want to practice the quality of honesty, to straighten ourselves out, then we have to become aware of the intentions with which we do things, to pay attention to why we do something. Because in all of us, these things exist. Laziness exists, selfishness exists, greed exists, and the hypocrisy exists, which is the impulse to cover up these things. We will never want to plainly and knowingly act out of laziness or act out of greed. We want to cover it up. Whatever huge level of hypocrisy we might see in the outside world, done by politicians, done by people in history, done by whomever, this same seed of hypocrisy of doing wrong actions but at the same time wanting to preserve the good image of ourselves for others and for our own self is within us. And while we cannot do anything about the hypocrisy that exists in the outside world, we can't change it, we can't make other people change, the only place where we can remove this hypocrisy is inside ourselves. This is what somebody does if they have the wish to straighten themselves out fully from inside, to remove the self, to remove the selfishness that acts within us. That is to practice the Buddha's teaching, to practice true right action, real right speech, real right intention, rather than outwardly appearing to ourselves to do something good while inside being guided by wrong intentions. So this path is obviously for people who have this aim. Most of the world has other plans and other projects. So just to give a summary of the main points we looked at, the quality of honesty is absolutely essential for one who wants to practice the Buddha's teaching. And this honesty goes beyond just the rule of not telling deliberate lies. It goes to finding out everything that makes us tell a deliberate lie, this element of hypocrisy in the world and within us, getting to know it and uprooting it within ourselves. So that means instead of finding an admirable excuse for something that is really done out of greed, laziness, selfishness, wrong intention, just don't do the things by wrong intention. Refuse to do the wrong actions and recognize when an action has been done with wrong intention. Aim to correct it. It means not cheating ourselves that we're better than others because, let's say, we don't eat a certain type of food, or because we don't buy a certain thing, or because we follow one rule or practice one ritual. It's our actions, our intentions that make us good or bad. And at the deepest level, it's to root out the element of hypocrisy that is there even when we do supposedly good actions, like volunteering or giving. It's what makes the difference between pure generosity and impure, tainted generosity. It's what makes the difference between true right action and the actions that are not really right, that are not on the path of the Buddha's teaching.